This is a sand dragon. That guy up there is a flame forged dragon. And this is a Zaldir dragon. In this video, I spend 100 days in this mystical land living side by side with these dragons. What are you looking at? But this 100 days, it's a little bit different. I've made a certain rule that will make this challenge infinitely harder. I call it the primitive challenge. You see, in this challenge, I can't make anything that's not considered primitive. That means no generators, no fabricators, and certainly no tech. Now the question is, can I conquer this world of dragons? Or will this land of dragons swallow me whole? Welcome to my 100 days of dragons. Welcome homies and homettes to another ARK modded adventure. We are playing on the modded map, Astraios. Before waking up on the beach, I had to name myself. And for this playthrough, I thought it would be fitting to name ourselves AronAztek. After all, this is a dragon's medieval playthrough, so I feel like it fits the whole roleplay aesthetic. Anyways, we begin this journey just like any other by collecting a whole bunch of resources off the ground and pretending that this tree is Jake Paul's face. I then crafted up a pickaxe, mined some stone from the beach, then I crafted this hatchet and a reusable spear. If you're familiar with any one of my other playthroughs, you know the easy and cheesy way to get some early levels is by making my chibis. Whilst they're crafting, it kind of makes you walk like you got to stick up your... Level 17 already and we're just getting started. I was looking through my inventory when I saw this on the screen. What the frick is that? Someone trolling? Coco, oh my god. This is Coco, one of my subscribers. They're playing with me on the server, and whenever people play with me on the server, I always invite them to my alliance. Before making the alliance, I had to make a tribe. I went ahead and named it. We are the Dodo Legion. And our alliance, we went ahead and named Legion of Dodos. With a weird little furry added to the alliance, we then went on our way. Next step, we had to introduce ourselves to the local wildlife. The best way to say hello is a spear to the head. Wow, that was off. Hey, Dodo! My aim is about as good as Stevie Wonder in the daytime, so I think it's best we make a bowler. This way we surely can't miss. Hey, thank you. Your skin will be well used. Trust me. Feeling confident by destroying that parasol, I went to go fight this Dilo. I was then met with every pro Call of Duty player's worst nightmare. Lag. Can't do nothing. Love this game. Can't move. Oh my god. Almost dead, but I summoned my inner caveman to destroy these Dilos. I soon realized I'm dying of dehydration, so I run down to the salty seawater and quench my thirst. Next, I take down this parasaur. Look, I really need a lot of hide and a bunch of fiber, all so that I could make this. A raft. Yep, I needed a raft. This map has a lot of water, so I figured a raft might be a good way to get around initially. I always make sure to check underneath our boat to see if there was any lead sisters around. This doesn't look deep enough to have any. I then realized my hunger level was dropping quite low, so I quickly put together a campfire and started cooking up some of that juicy parasol meat. I then saw this purple drop in the distance, landed on the beach, and ran over to it to see what was inside. Ooh, harpoon launcher. Minotaur saddle. We took everything except the harpoon launcher. Day 2, I went and harassed another parasaur. This time, instead of spearing it in the face, I bonked it on the head a couple times to put it asleep. Well, I attempted to. It did get away. How long until I can use this again? Oh, no way that worked again. Yes! One thing that's really refreshing about not playing a super crazy overhaul mod is the fact that it's day 2 and we haven't died once. I managed to tame this parasaur, place this saddle on its back, and immediately forced it to carry my fat ass around, while simultaneously collecting a bunch of berries. I then brought it back to our raft and started sailing off to do some more exploring. Looking down in the water, I saw this shadow. I thought it was a trilobite. Not a trilobite, just a fish. My parasaur also wanted to come for a dip. Rather inconvenient because we couldn't get it back on the boat. Please tell me it gets up. Oh my god. I didn't know it was on follow. Thousands of hours in this game and I still make stupid mistakes. Now, because we had gotten some metal from that drop earlier, I could make a smithy. Then I could make some metal tools. Crazy since we haven't made a forge at all. Things were starting to look up in this playthrough. So far. Also, because I was streaming live, my Twitch chat decided to name my parasaur Papa Smurf. We sailed around for most of the day trying to find a location that we could build like a starter base or something. I don't know what we were doing. We're just exploring. Day 3, we landed on this beach and then I threw a spear right in the face of this ninja turtle. Turtles are a great source of keratin in the early game, which we need to be able to craft ourselves a pteranodon saddle so we can hit the skies. One turtle's not enough for us to be able to gather enough keratin, so we turned multiple turtles into porcupines. Bro, we got freaking Michelangelo over here, Leonardo, Donatello. We're killing them all. Stocked up on a bunch of resources. Now we need to find a pteranodon that we can actually tame. We searched along beaches because that's typically where you can find a pteranodon without any other scary creatures around. I then went ahead and crafted up nano spyglass. One thing I like about the spyglass is that it doesn't require any high level resources like crystal, so it's pretty easy to make in the early game. There was a pteranodon right where we landed on the beach. Only thing is, it was a level 25, so we got to keep on moving. A little further inland, there was another low level, and we cannot deal with a low level flyer. Not at all. Day 4, we continue our search looking for a decent level pteranodon. We see an RG above this beach, so there's surely higher level creatures over here. Fearful that I might likely die, I placed down a bed so we can at least respawn back here whenever we need. Made it to land and saw an RG and an aloe fighting. Came around this corner and then saw these two aloes. Oh shoot. Oh shoot. I thought they would chase after me, but they're not. Oh, they're spawn stuck. Aha. With this, I could just casually stroll straight past them, straight up to this. What in the frick? Our first proper encounter with a dragon. I wanted to keep my distance, but I was curious to see what this thing really was. I tried to find a better angle to take a look, but ultimately decided we should leave. We really need to get ourselves a pteranodon so we can start moving forward in this playthrough. I finally spotted this level 95. Now, although it's not the best, it'll have to do for now. To ensure that I can actually tame this thing, I wanted to make sure I could knock it out easily. So I made myself a mortar and pestle back at my little raft so that I could start crafting up some narcotics with some of the resources that I'd already gathered. Next, I crafted myself a crossbow. I realized I need a bunch of spoiled meat if I want to make some more narcotics, so I split up all the meat that I had in my inventory so that it could all spoil at once. This is a whole science project at this point. I just want to knock out this damn bird. So with that, I return to it, throw a bowler around its legs, make it land, shoot it in the head with a couple of these trank arrows, and put it to sleep. Now to just wait patiently for it to tame up and try and keep it alive, hoping that nothing comes to kill it. Whilst waiting, I decided to go harvest some resources near our raft. I was then taking a look through the engram list to see what modded items we could make. But whilst I was minding my own business, I heard this crunch sound. Oh, you're kidding me. Bro. Thankfully, our pteranodon had fully tamed up, so I quickly raced over to it, placed a saddle on its back, and escaped into the skies. He's gonna ruin my parasol. That's fine. Ideally, we don't want our parasol to die, but if it does, it is what it is. I had to land rather quickly because this pteranodon had just about as much stamina as Mike Tyson did in the Jake Paul fight. When we made it back into the skies, we encountered another dragon. This is the Hydro Dragon. I was fearful that it might be aggressive, so I made sure to stay away from it. I then went to explore some more of this map. Some of these Greek-themed buildings are pretty damn cool. Day 5, I continued exploring around this map. I was too afraid to go back to our raft where that dragon was munching on our parasol, but whilst we were out, we did get to witness some of these cool dragons around the map. I'm excited to start taming them all. Continuing on, I went and hunted down some drops. We managed to get some pretty decent loot out of this particular one. Some flak boots, fur hat, and metal water intake. C4 would be nice, but we're not allowed to touch it. I then spotted the shark's rotting carcass, and I wanted to see if you could harvest it. Yes, you can. We scored some free oil and some spoiled meat. Flying around, I saw this interesting mountain peak, and of course, I had to go investigate. Tell me we can actually make it up there. Bro, this is Olympus. This is sick, dude. I have to admit, visually, this map is absolutely stunning. I'm glad we chose this for our playthrough. This area that we've aptly dubbed Mount Olympus still has dangers, though. Oh, crap. The stamina is going to be the death of me. Yep. If it's not me being an idiot and forgetting about stamina, it's you Tyrannosauruses that fear roll you away. I had a pretty ingenious idea on how to get out of this situation though. I would jump off the Pteranodon, engage my parachute, then whistle the Pteranodon to follow me, and we're back in the skies. Ah, yeah. Frick, I'm the king of this. Yeah, it's safe to say that I'm pretty much an ARK pro at this point. I'm so good that nothing can touch me. Bro, we're so dead, dude. If it freezes me again, it's another 10 seconds, bro. This is so unlucky. Bro, as if it gives me a 10-second cooldown. You can't escape this. 5 seconds, come on. Bang, I'm out. I'm out. We managed to just get away, but then I forgot about stamina again. The good old parachute and whistle trick seems to work just fine every single time. Day 6 and we're flying through these clouds on the hunt for some cementing paste. I have no idea where to find it, but thankfully I was streaming live, so my chat told me exactly where to go. I won't lie, that kind of looks like a beaver dam. That is a beaver dam. I quickly secured some cementing paste from these rabid beavers, made my escape only for us to forget about stamina once again. Shit. Parachute, 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 parachute. Whoa! Bro, why wouldn't my parachute launch? Our parachute didn't engage. I don't know what happened. We then respawned back at our raft only for this dragon to be attacking our parasaur. We then suffered a great loss. I knew I couldn't stick around. This dragon was ruthless, so I jumped straight on the raft and escaped. Then we slowly started heading over to our last death place. Considering this map is only 30% complete, it's quite big for what's already here. Apparently, it's already bigger than the island map. I managed to make it back to our dead body and the pteranodon. With this, I flew the pteranodon straight down to our raft and finally crafted up a forge. I needed just a little bit of metal so I could make something rather special. This Greek boat. I'm not going to say what it's called. I can't really pronounce that, but it's really cool. You can even customize the sail and parts of the boat. It's pretty neat. In the beginning of day 7, I start moving some of our stuff from the raft over to our big Greek boat. We then set on off in search for greater pastures. This large boat moves kind of fast, which allows us to get around this map quite quickly. But still, nothing beats flying. We set on off in the skies to search around this mountainy island area, and we discovered this cave. Now, I thought that this was going to be like an artifact cave or something, so I was expecting to get kicked off my flying mount soon. We didn't get kicked off, so I think you can live inside here if you wanted. Back outside, we continued our explorations. Finding more mountain peaks above these clouds makes this place look absolutely beautiful. But whilst we're out and about, I was also scoping out some possible forever base locations. We needed the perfect space. Because we're playing completely primitive, we don't have a lot of advantages that we normally would in our other playthroughs. For example, we need to have a water source nearby, and we need to have a decent amount of resources that we can collect. Because without having the convenience of the Dino Depot mod or even cryopods, we need to get a little bit more creative when we need to move stuff around the map. I return to our Greek ship, then I make the medieval smithy. And with the smithy, I can make a water mill. Now, what exactly is this water mill? Essentially, it's a primitive way of making electricity, which is one thing that I'm going to have to overcome to be able to use some of the Draconic Chronicles mods items. Again, this is a primitive medieval playthrough, so I'm restricted with a lot of the items that I can make myself. Now, to power this water mill, I need this burned charcoal. Why is it called burned charcoal? No idea. I already thought charcoal was burnt already. Doesn't matter though, it gets the wheel spinning and we now have electricity, apparently. Day 8, I crafted and placed down this thing. It's called the Draconic Shrine. It's the thing that needs electricity to be able to work. And it works like a crafting bench, but for draconic things, like all of these other draconic crafting benches. Next, I came up with a pretty stupid, or might even be pretty brave, harebrained idea. It just involves us heading over to this island. Now, this island was only recently added to the Astraeos map, and if we plan on surviving this island, we're going to need a couple more beds. Now, what is all the fuss about this island? What could possibly be going on here? Well, this particular island has some pretty scary creatures on it. Now, what exactly are those scary creatures? Wyverns. I try and make my escape from this particular one, but we don't quite make it. In case it wasn't obvious, we're here trying to get ourselves a wyvern egg. But first, in this case, we need to try and get our body back, which we managed to do for a split second, that is. I am not giving up until we get ourselves a wyvern egg. It will significantly progress us through this playthrough. I was looking at all these little holes in the wall, trying to see if there was a nest inside them. I couldn't see anything, but we did stumble into this cave. And it was in here we found our first egg. Please be good level. It's not an amazing level egg, so I went on to search for something a little bit better. Fortunately, for the most part, we didn't run into any wyverns yet. In the end, we came up empty-handed, and this 95 egg is gonna have to do. I quickly yoinked the egg and run for my life. All right, let's go. Let's go. Oh my god, I can't see. I'm waiting for a wyvern just to come snipe me right at the entrance. We made it out of this cave alive. I kept checking behind me to see if any wyverns were chasing. Bro, are we having a clean run? Completely naked. To be fair, there's just not many wyverns around. We'd seemed to make a clean break for it and escape with a wyvern egg. Well, that was until this. Oh, shh. But hey, look on the bright side. Our body's not too far away. We can go collect our stuff with the egg inside it, and we just need to make it back to our boat and set sail. Yeah, we're making it back to the boat. Oh, wait. I then respawned in what felt like the slowest respawn animation ever, jumped on the back of my pteranodon, and kited this wyvern away. All right, good. We're faster than it. We managed to get away, but then we saw this structure. Oh, that's a wyvern trap. Indeed, this looks like a wyvern trap. It looks like Nakatas purposely put this here as a wyvern trap. With the wyvern kited away, we returned back to our boat, collected my stuff off my body, and began sailing off, keeping a keen eye over my shoulder, hoping that no wyvern would come and murk us again. Once we made it to a pretty safe location, I began setting up some of these standing torches so we could start hatching this wyvern egg. Incubating, let's go, baby! 6 minutes. We were then doing some stuff around our base, minding our own business, when this fat heifer came back. I did my best to escape, but I don't think we were fast enough. This boat may be faster than a normal raft, but it's not faster than this dragon. I had to get on the back of our pteranodon, get his attention, and then kite him away. I hid up upon this mountain until the coast was clear, then headed back to my base, only to find that our egg was gone. At this time, I was hoping that it was just floating in the mid-air because we're on a boat. Maybe it just detached from the boat type of thing. I don't know. I was kind of hoping that it hadn't sunk to the bottom of the ocean. In the end, I had given up all hope and just accepted our loss. That was until I jumped on the back of this pteranodon and then it was there. No, there's a dragon there, bro. How this happened, I have no goddamn idea. Either way, I am grateful it happened. This will give us a massive boost in progression moving forward. Day 10, and this little baby wyvern wanted to be imprinted, and it only required a short little walk. I didn't want to take it to land, so I tried walking it around our boat, and this worked just fine. I then realized with some of the dragons that are around this map, it's probably not very safe to have our boat like it is. Something could easily come by and kill our wyvern. With this, I went out to go and explore possible base locations. Do we build in some of these prefab places? Like this building right here could be a safe place to grow up our wyverns, or do we build in these resource-rich mountainous areas? There was a lot of places to choose from. In the end, I chose this mountain peak. I feel like if we're playing a Dragons playthrough, we need to build on a mountain peak, right? This place has a lot of space to build my favorite base design and a lot of decent resources. It's also pretty close to this, which works kind of like an obelisk, meaning when we want to fight the boss on this map, it's pretty easy to get to. With the base spot decided, it was time to go and harvest a bunch of resources so I can start placing down some foundations. Day 11, and it's now time for us to place down this base. Cue montage. I think we're going to struggle quite a bit with resources, especially since this base is going to be massive. Day 12, I took a little break from base building so I could go and check on our little wyvern. It was quite the trip away, but once we got there, we saw this. No, the stupid butt. Leave my wyvern alone, dude. I really didn't want to lose this wyvern, especially since it was so much effort to try and get it. I used my boat to try and escape as quick as possible. My wyvern got scared and started running away. Then that dragon started following my wyvern, making things worse. On the back of my pteranodon, I whistled the wyvern to follow us, but the pesky dragon followed as well. My pteranodon was near death itself, but all I could do was just keep trying to get this wyvern out of danger by making it follow us. Eventually, I brought this wyvern up to this spot. Ideally, I wanted to try and get it inside because I thought it might be safe in there. I knew I just couldn't bring it with me right now. I figured if I just left and stayed out of render, it should grow up and be safe. We can return once it's fully grown, and then we can ride it and fight off anything that's trying to fight it. Whilst we wait for this wyvern to grow up, we continue grabbing a whole bunch of resources so that we can continue building our base. Day 13, I returned to go check on our wyvern, and it was fully grown up. We could now ride it to escape this place, but I wanted to see how much damage it could do. It absolutely wrecked this level 150 RG. I think we're in a pretty good spot right now. With this brand new fire wyvern acquired, my chat had to name it. They went ahead and named it Veronica. Now we have to fly this flying lizard all the way back to base and try and get our pteranodon there safely as well. We get a little bit distracted at times when it comes to building this base. It's a bigger project than I expected. It's going to require a ton of resources, definitely a lot more than we can gather by hand. And I really need to enclose this base off soon, as it seems like there's a couple dangerous creatures that spawn up here. And without Dino Depot or any cryopods, we can't keep our dinos safe. They're going to have to defend themselves from some of the dangers in this map. I then took off to go and try and find something to tame that can help us to build our base. But as we were flying around, we encountered one of these again. This was kind of close to our base, so I wanted to kite it far enough away that it didn't come back to base. At one point, I did turn around and try and fight it. We did a fair bit of damage, but it really hurts when it fights us. So our safest bet is to try and get this big mama away from us. We literally spend the whole rest of this day trying to kite this thing far enough away from our base so that we're safe at base. Day 14, I went on the mission to go and collect some wood. We kind of farmed all the wood by our base. But whilst we were here, we found this drop, and it had an ascendant pteranodon saddle in it. Anyways, I managed to farm up a whole bunch of wood from this little area here, and by a whole bunch, really not that much because we can't carry too much. But what I had been doing was gathering as much resources as I could hold and bringing them back to this storage box. Then once we had a whole bunch of them, I could then craft up a bunch of foundations and continue this build. Well, that was until we ran out of resources again. I did manage to put down some forges though and get some metal cooking. Day 15, we returned to our Greek boat, but the sail had changed. I had a different sail, so is this my thing? It is mine. Apparently it's a bug and it reverts every time the server restarts. Anyways, I came here to pick up these crafting benches and take the resources that we could hold, which again wasn't much, but that's what we get for making this 100 days challenge harder than normal. I then remembered we were still close to the wyvern trench, and we had a wyvern. Usually when you have a wyvern, it's easier to get wyvern eggs. So of course, me being extremely brave, I went into this wyvern cave so I could see if I could find another wyvern egg. We found a nest with a wyvern egg in it right near the entrance of this cave. 135 poison. Now level wise, this is a good egg, but a poison wyvern doesn't really help us too much in this playthrough. So I flew deeper into this cave to see if there was any other eggs around. We found this lightning egg, 15, but level 15 is just not going to cut it. So we dived deeper into the trenches of this wyvern cave. Managed to spot a nest, but this pesky flame-forged dragon was there. It was such a pest that my chat decided to name it my girlfriend. Like, this thing clings to you harder than syphilis in the summertime, or even like when your bum's a little bit sweaty and then you go to wipe and then the tissue stays there and it's stuck. Yeah, it's kind of sticks to you like that. Look, either way, we got away from it and we could now live in peace. Well, kind of. I really wanted to get myself another wyvern egg, and this level 135 poison wyvern egg is gonna have to do. Oh, there's a couple eggs here. We got a fire egg too. I didn't get a chance to check out what that fire egg was. I just wanted to escape before we got munched on by another wyvern. We did get chased down, but once the coast was clear, I had a look at this fire wyvern egg. What was the other egg? Oh! Oh, yes! 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 It's pretty safe to say that I was pretty excited about getting a level 150 fire wyvern egg. We had just been blessed by the ARK gods. Since we're on the Greek map, I'm assuming it's like Aphrodite or something. It's kind of why we built here, right next to her. Anyways, after that sidetrack craziness, I came back to base and placed down all of these crafting benches. Day 16, and we're still making some slight adjustments to our base, placing down some more of these crafting benches. And of course, we need to get some electricity up in here, so I placed down this water mill. Next, I jumped on Veronica's back and went to go try and tame ourselves a dodo. We're looking for dodos right now. What exactly do I need these dodos for? Well, basically, I need their eggs. But Aaron, you're currently knocking out a male. Don't worry, we're taming a female as well. If you're unfamiliar in how exactly this works, if you have a male and a female, it should produce more eggs than it would if it was just a female on site. And dodos are kind of easier to transport around because I can carry one in my hands and Veronica can pick up the other. I bring these dodos straight back to base so that they can start producing us some eggs. This might take a little while, so I went out exploring the map and did a little bit of drop hunting while we're at it. We managed to score some pretty decent loot from this as well. Day 17, I needed me some metal ingots, and our forgers just weren't cooking them up fast enough. So a quick and easy way to get them is from these metal structures that we got from drops earlier. I forget exactly what I needed it for, but I'm sure it was important. Next, I went out to go and find some creatures I could tame, particularly ones that would help us out right now in our journey. Something maybe like this parasaur. I need another berry gather, obviously, and I only want to kind of tame some things that I know my wyvern can carry. Veronica only likes to carry things with a slender build. Fat things are off the list. New parasaur acquired. It's time to gather up a bunch of berries, particularly narco berries, so that we can start making up a bunch of trank arrows to obviously tame some more creatures. Next, I crafted up this war weapon smithy. This is where we can craft up some, well, medieval war weapons. I then took a peek at our base design, and I think our shaft is looking a little thin. We need to extend this girth just a little bit more. Building the base by gathering resources by hand has been kind of difficult and a lot more time consuming than I had hoped. So right now I'm placing down a trap near our base so we can go out and tame ourselves a particular utility dino that can help us gather resources so we can finish this base. We continued this search on day 18. What exactly are we looking for? Well, the good old-fashioned Doedicurus. Snatched him from his natural habitat and brought him straight back to base, where I'd Kobe'd him straight into the trap and began the process of knocking him out. Took a little while, but we finally put this guy to sleep. Now to make him a saddle. We've got a blueprint for an Ascendant saddle, but it's low-key kind of expensive to make, so we're just going with a primitive one for now. Our taming rates on the server are faster, but not super fast, so we're gonna have to wait a while for it to fully tame up. But whilst we wait, we went out to explore this map even further and see if there was anything else interesting to tame. We did encounter this Therizino, so I burned it alive without Veronica. Now, I wasn't deleting this Therizino for no reason. Trust me, I had a good reason. It had a baby following it around, so if we kill the mama, we could steal the baby. Yoink. Uncle Diddy would be so proud. We arrived back at base with a baby that's soon gonna suffer some severe Stockholm syndrome, and our orange Doedicurus that somewhat resembles me before my pre-evolution stage was fully tamed up and ready to go. So we put it to work gathering some stone and slapping some felines in the face. Day 19, and we had already cleared out all the stone near our base, so we had to take this Doedicurus somewhere else to collect more stone, and this cave seemed to have quite a lot of it. So we got stuck straight into it and gathering as much stone as possible and began removing some of the original inhabitants of this cave. After filling our Doedicurus up on a whole bunch of stone, we returned back to base, dropped the Doedicurus off at base, then went out to go and find something else. Right now, I was looking for an oviraptor. Again, because we're not using the Dino Depot Terminal mod, I have no way of collecting eggs from our dodos. Thankfully, oviraptors can work exactly like that. They are egg collectors. You see, all I need to do is place this hitching post down, attach my oviraptor and the dodos to it, and then whenever these dodos will lay eggs, the oviraptor will collect them and store them and keep them safe. This also works for fertilized eggs as well. So this is a pretty good solution if you don't have a mod to help you fix this. I currently have no way to gather wood, so I just have to fly down to a place with a lot of wood and collect this by hand. Thankfully, Veronica can hold on to quite a bit of it, so collecting this all by hand isn't too much of a problem. We do need a lot of wood to finish this base, but not quite as much as we do need stone. Day 20, we're we're building this base once again. This is a longer process than I had hoped, but it's also very essential. Right now, we're thickening the girth of our shaft, adding some stairs for some ease of access, then adding some walls to keep this place safe. This is quite the long process, but we'll get there in the end. Day 21, we're still working on this base. Sometimes we had to make a few adjustments, and sometimes we just had to fill in some walls. It is coming along quite nicely though, but we often run out of resources and have to go out and get them all again. I even get so desperate that I use the doer to go and harvest these metal nodes that give us extra stone. Sometimes I even get so zoned in that I don't even realize things like this. Whoa, that scared the hell out of me. The freaking chick's just peeking in. What are you looking at, love? Day 22 and a little bit of a distraction, but our Therizino is all grown up. And there was a few creatures around our base that I wanted to get rid of so that they don't attack us. Now, one thing I love about Therizinos, these things slap hard. They're even great utility dinos that gather a bunch of wood, a bunch of thatch, and even berries. Of course, my chat had to name this Theri. Thierry Henry. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. Quick base build check-in. We're missing a big chunk of the shaft and the tip, so it's back to work on this base we go. Day 23 was pretty much just us gathering a bunch of resources and working on completing this base, which for the most part we did by sealing it in with this final gate. Day 24, and I put this porch right at the front of our base. It's a little bit elevated, and I wanted to make it a little bit easier to enter and exit. Inside's also quite dark, and thanks to the medieval mod, we could add this light in. That's not a lot of light. It's not, but it's gonna have to do for now. I tested using these braziers to see if they would help light the place up a little bit more, and I mean, they kinda do, but not what I was expecting. Doing everything primitive is making things a lot more interesting than I expected. Anyways, now let's take a good look at this base. The rocket ship shaft base has returned. Such a beautiful sight. Next, I placed down this medieval kitchen oven. You can cook a bunch of other foods in this, as well as the normal foods that you can cook in any campfire. Next, I was reminded, because we're playing on the Astraeos map, there's these Astraeos building skins that we can use, which of course I had to use on this build. We also came up with a bright idea to add these Bob's Tall Tales windows to let in light to kind of solve our light problem. I'm not sure if adding these skins was a good idea or not, because it did take up a whole other day. But low-key, it was kind of worth it. It's nice and refreshing to have something that looks a little bit different to what we've been used to for the last 7 years. Day 26, and we ran into a slight problem. I need to try and find a way to get water all the way up to my base. Do we go all the way down to the ocean to get it, or is there a better water source nearby? Thankfully, there's a water source just over this little ridge here. And with this, I just link a whole bunch of water tanks all the way up to our base. It's a pretty straightforward process if you know what you're doing. Problem is, I don't know what I was doing. So at times I got a little bit stuck and kind of just had to wing it. But in the end, we managed to get water all the way up to our base. Next, I think it's about time that we start setting up to try and actually tame something. You see, when I was out drop hunting, we found this, an Ascendant long neck rifle. So of course, I'm going to have to make up a whole bunch of trank darts and prepare ourselves to start taming some dragons. Also, can we just take another moment to appreciate this freaking map? The cloud over top is cool. Day 27, whilst we were out exploring, we were told to go and have a look behind this waterfall. And we found a cave. But behind that cave, we got kicked off our mount. Yeah, no flying's allowed in this one. Bunch of scary bugs below us. I made sure to grapple up high and get away. Veronica was trying her best to work her magic and destroying all of these bugs. But without me controlling her, she's kind of an idiot. I told her to go wait outside and we'll deal with it later. I have a question. Are we really stealing this stuff out of these beaver dams? Or is it rightfully ours to begin with? Like, who really cares about beavers? They're just aquatic rodents anyway, right? Either way, I'm extremely grateful for the free cementing paste. I'm really not too familiar with the mods that we've added in this playthrough, so I spend a little bit of time looking through this draconic shrine to see what I can craft and what exactly I need to be able to tame some of these modded creatures as well. Same with the medieval smithy. Now, this smithy is really made for just like roleplay type things. A lot of the items that you can make in them are just different skinned versions of what we already have. Like this alchemy station is really just a mortar and pestle, but this alchemy smithy, this is different. The alchemy smithy makes potions, and a bunch of these we'll probably use through this playthrough. Day 28, and we're crafting up even more of these trank darts. I'm pretty excited to go and tame some dragons, but before we did that, I remembered we had something we needed to do. We had those eggs that we got earlier. We need to hatch them. The eggs just randomly disappeared. Yeah, I forgot the Oviraptor does that. It's okay though, you can just change the settings. And just like that, we have our poison and fire egg incubating. Now to go out and explore this map and see what kind of wyverns or dragons we can go and tame. Although, whilst we were out, the place kind of looked a little empty. I then had to make a quick pit stop back at base because the eggs should have hatched by now. Gotta love Ark. And the stupid wyverns were stuck in the ground. I broke my house down just so I could get these little babies out, made them follow me out to this wider space, and then obviously replaced the floors. Next, I made this draconic crossbow and a draconic arrow. I wasn't exactly sure what this does, but I know that if you shoot a wyvern with it, it does something. Plus, it looks kind of cool with the wyvern skull head on it. Anyways, we shot these wyverns and it did nothing. What this crossbow actually does is that when you shoot a wyvern that's not a part of the Draconic Chronicles mod, it will then turn them into a draconic wyvern. And if they're a baby wyvern, they instantly grow up. These two wyverns are already draconic, so it doesn't work. It's day 29, and honestly, it's kind of pathetic that we don't have any dragons yet. I need to tame something ASAP. We're out in the plains region when we find this, an adult Zadir dragon. This dragon is a part of a separate mod, and at this time, I had no idea how I'm supposed to tame it. I figured I'd just try and knock it out by shooting it, but my Twitch chat eventually told me this is not how you tame one of these. I just really want one. They look freaking epic, and their animations are amazing. Instead, we continued on our way, where we ran into this Inferno wyvern. Now, it requires chaotic draconic essence. Now, we can't make that just yet. It's quite a little while until we'll be able to do something like that. I was more curious to see what would happen if we kill it and if it dropped anything exciting. We finally managed to kill it and we got some loot from it. What did I just get? Chaotic wyvern milk. I didn't know you could get it from killing them. Draconic ash. Very interesting items indeed. What do they do? I don't know, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. Next, I returned to the Draconic Shrine and crafted this Draconic Cauldron. I also crafted this Obsidian Fabricator, thinking it might be a little bit different than a normal fabricator. It's really not. It's just a normal fabricator, just with a chick standing on her knees. Typically, I love this, but in this playthrough, we're not allowed it. So I had to say goodbye. Then I placed down the Draconic Cauldron. Now, this is what we need to be able to make a bunch of these essences, which we need in order to tame all of the Draconic Chronicles, wyverns, and dragons. I saw this inside the Draconic Smithy thing as well. Curiosity got the best of me and I wanted to see what it was exactly. They call it the Draconic Altar. And basically, I can use that Draconic Ash that we got earlier and turn it into some chibis. And then I can do something with these artifacts. But we'll discover exactly what that is a little bit later. I then went and fed this chaotic wyvern milk to one of my wyverns. And it's damn effective. I've been getting real distracted. I need to sort out what ingredients I need so I can make some of these essences and start taming some dragons. I then made this. This is the Draconic Guide. Basically, it's just a guide that you can use to see exactly what all the different things are in this mod. I spent a bit of time just studying this and trying to find what dragons used what and where to find them and stuff. Day 30 and I went on the hunt for one of these, an owl griffin. Yeah, that's also a separate mod that I added to this playthrough. I think griffins would be a great addition to be able to help us tame some of these flyers. But first, we actually have to try and tame this thing, which was a little bit harder than expected. Every time I shot it, it would deal torpor, but that torpor would drain rather quickly. I tried again, but its torpor was already down to 0. I quickly realized if I want to tame one of these owl griffins, I'm gonna have to try and trap it. And I wasn't really prepared for that right now. Instead, I had another theory that I wanted to check out. I noticed that this map is so much larger than I thought. There was a big chunk of it that we hadn't discovered yet. I wanted to go see what was over on this big island in the distance, flying past a few cool little islands right here. But as you can see, there's such a large chunk of this map that we still haven't discovered. I want to go see what it is exactly. Bit of a flight out. What exactly is it? Oh no. It's not open yet. This map is still in its early stages. I'm sure it's going to be great once it's finished, but until then, we can't go out here. Day 31, I inspected the Draconic Guide to see exactly where certain creatures spawn. It has a spawn map. The only problem is it doesn't have a spawn map for this particular map. But a lot of the same things kind of match up. Certain dragons only spawn on beaches. Certain dragons only spawn in the redwoods, the snow, etc, etc. We ran into a slight problem though. This map doesn't actually have a redwoods currently. After speaking to pineapples for a little bit, we worked out a place that kind of works like the redwoods. And it's this area. It doesn't resemble redwoods, but it has exactly what we're looking for. They're called the Crystal Wyverns. And if you're familiar with ASE Crystal Isles map, they're basically just the crystal wyverns from that. And we need to kill these wyverns so that we can collect the crystal from them. It's called the Chaotic Crystal. They also drop Draconic Primal Crystals as well, but we don't need that right now. Anyways, we spent the rest of the day just hunting down these wyverns. There weren't many that were around, or we just couldn't see any, so we didn't get much. Day 32, and since we've been leveling, we've unlocked more essences that we can use to tame some more of these dragons. So I went out to see if I could try and find some. But can we just take another moment to have a look at this map? If you play this map, you've got to keep the clouds turned on. Seeing the mountain peaks above the clouds, amazing. Once I returned back to base, our fire and poison wyvern had fully grown up, and they were kind of stuck inside each other. Tried moving them out of each other, but it was a little bit tricky. The trick is to make them follow you and not be riding them. That's how you get them unstuck. Well, unless they're actually properly stuck, like this poison wyvern. I tried for a hot minute to try and get him out, but since he's proper stuck, we have to quickly say goodbye to him. A fat rip, but kind of in the way. With this wyvern finally out of our way, I could go ahead and build this little farm. To make some of the essences in the draconic mod, I need a lot of vegetables. So we got to work putting together this greenhouse. We had put this down. It's a little bit scuffed, but it works. 300% greenhouse effectiveness. It's fully irrigated. Now all we need is some seeds. Jumped on our theory to try and get some, but even after gathering a whole bunch of berries, or like not one veggie seed. So then I tried our parasaur, harvested a whole bunch of stuff, and managed to get the seeds that we needed. So we got citronal, rock carrot, Everett, long red. Yeah, buddy. Now, before we can plant these seeds, we need fertilizer. I don't have a dung beetle, but I could probably get my hands on one of these. The good old-fashioned poop machine, the Phiomia. Thanks to our Ascendant long neck rifle, it only took 2 shots to put this bad boy to sleep. Once this Phiomia had fully tamed, my chat went and named it Poop Rocket. Day 33, we induced violent diarrhea to our poop rocket by forcing some stimberries down its throat. Never in my life have I ever been so excited to pick up poop. Next, I went out to go and try and tame something else, but I found this purple drop, and it had some pretty nifty gear in it. Some of these items we weren't allowed to keep, but this Ascendant flak chest piece is pretty decent. We then found ourselves in the snowy tundra. Well, kind of close to it, where we found this level 85 Anki, which I snatched up, flew it all the way back to base, dunked it right into our trap. In. Yes! We got it. Gave it some mysterious drugs in its face, which then put it to sleep. Day 34, and the Anki had woken up. I had also found an Ascendant Anki saddle earlier in one of the drops, so obviously I placed that on its back. Now to put this spiny wannabe turtle to work. With this, we should be able to gather a whole lot of metal, but there's not too many metal nodes around our base area. So I grabbed Veronica, and Veronica can pick up our Anki, and we head on out to try and find some other locations with a ton of metal nodes. Locations just like this. Also, my community decided to name this Anki Kumalala. I don't really know why. I think it's something to do with that song. Kumalala, Kumalala. You guys get it. Anyways, we spent basically the rest of this day just collecting a whole bunch of metal. We couldn't overdo it. Even though the Anki can hold a bunch, Veronica can't. So we just grabbed what we could. That was enough to fill up our forges. Day 35, I went to go visit Mr. Pineapples. His base is kind of close to mine, and I wanted to see how far he had progressed. This is his little base and his base location, and my base is just over there on that little mountaintop. When I arrived back at base, I heard a noise. It was Pineapple showing me his new dragon. This thing's pretty damn cool, but then he also had a pretty funny idea. Hold on a second, just gotta go into photo mode. There we go. That's so cooked. Listen, what's that old saying? Boys will be boys. With Pineapples having this brand new dragon, he taught me exactly how I could get myself one, and showed me how he got his. Basically, you have to trap one of these ancient Zaldea dragons. Then you put it to sleep, and inside it, it'll have an egg. This one was already asleep, and I couldn't access the inventory, so I couldn't grab an egg out of it. It's already been done. But after seeing that one, I think it's freaking wicked, and I want to get myself one ASAP. Day 36, I started crafting up some of these essences with every intention to go out and tame a dragon. But a certain opportunity arose, and I had to take it. I want to craft this egg incubator, but I need electronics. Now, I'm not allowed to make electronics, but I can trade for them. I then asked Pineapples to trade for some electronics. Show me the goods. And in return, he wanted my demonic fire wyvern. Is it a fair trade? I don't know. But I didn't have a lot of things of value to trade, and he knew that. Bye-bye. With our wyvern flying off into the sunset, I went ahead and made this draconic egg incubator. Kind of expensive to make, but now we've got it at least. I then went out to go and try and find something that I could tame, heading directly to the snowy tundra area because that's typically where the higher level, stronger creatures will be. We then encountered this level 150 Royal Owl Griffin. Remembering if I wanted to tame this thing, I needed to make a trap, so I quickly went to go gather a bunch of resources, some wood, some stone, you know, all the things that we need. Then started laying down this good old-fashioned gate trap. Now the tricky part, we got to try and get this Royal Owl Griffin into the trap. Again, my aim's not great, but this shot finally landed, which got its attention and then ran straight back to the trap. Whoosh! And it followed me in. Now we're able to shoot this thing without its torpor dropping. But when this thing is asleep, it kind of looks creepy. My man's not looking so good. Whilst we're waiting for this owl griffin to tame up, I noticed that there was this cave right near our trap. So of course I had to go investigate. When inside, I saw that there was a dung beetle there. And what a coincidence. I do need me a dung beetle. The only thing is, how do I get past some of these creatures that could kill me easily? Well, the answer to that question is quite simple. Veronica. Duh. Fighting these little spiders is kind of like playing paper, scissors, rock, but instead I have a flamethrower. Thankfully, Veronica had to do her business, and I was able to pick up her poop so I could feed this dung beetle. That's an instant tame. And tame it. Also, our royal griffin is fully tamed. Twitch chat had to name our dung beetle Spooderman, and our royal owl griffin is called Grifficle. Now we got to try and get this griffin all the way back to base. It's quite the journey. The griffin's not very fast, but we make it eventually. But when we do, I place this dung beetle right in this corner over here, lock him in with a couple walls and a door, and feed this lactose intolerant pig some lactose. I had to lock this dung beetle in here because I'm pretty sure you have to have them on wandering. I don't know if that's still a thing or not, but I'm pretty sure it is. I'm sure someone in the comments will say something. Next, of course, I had to check out the abilities of this griffin. And I mean, for the most part, it's just a normal griffin. It can dive for extra speed and hit the ground and bomb the place. Day 38, and we're on the back of Grifficle, heading on out to go and tame a dragon. The whole reason we tamed this griffin was so that we could shoot off the back of it and tame these flyers. First dragon we're going to try and attempt to tame is this rejuvenation dragon. I expected it to stand and fight, but it's a bit of a pussy and started running away as soon as I shot it. Now, typically, I would think that this makes it a little bit easier to knock out, but its torpor drains really quick. So we got to stay on it and consistently shoot it without its torpor dropping so it will finally knock out. This thing fell in the water, so it looks like we're going for a nice refreshing dip into the ocean. And we can feed it the rejuvenation draconic essence. It tamed up basically immediately. Now to guide our new friend all the way back to base. New dragon acquired. Well, you could probably say this is our first proper dragon. My chat went ahead and named this dragon Katara. Now we're back in the snowy tundra area because I need to go and kill some creatures so that I can make a certain essence so I could tame something that I want to tame. I know, very vague, aren't I? But basically, I need to hunt down these draconic ice wyverns and kill them so that I can get these things. It's called eternal ice, and it's an ingredient that I need to make some essences that I need to be able to tame some other creatures. Whilst I was out here, I came over to this little pond because this is where you'll find penguins. And if we roast some of these penguins, they can provide us with a decent amount of polymer. Day 39, with the polymer that we collected, I went ahead and made this draconic collector. I also crafted this obsidian refrigerator. But once I placed it down, I realized it's not really primitive, is it? So I can't use it. Now, this draconic collector we could use. What exactly does this do? Well, if it's not obvious, it collects things. And to solve our refrigeration issue, I made a preserving bin. That's primitive, right? At least now I can keep my meat clean and cold. And even my milk, we got to keep it fresh. I often have to keep referring back to the draconic guide to kind of figure out what I need to do next. It doesn't really tell us much, but I figure we just need to tame more dragons. When I was flying in this direction, I remembered that Pineapple's trap was here, and this ancient dragon was wide awake. Now the question is, can I knock this thing out again and still get an egg from it? Pew, pew, pew. Now the moment of truth. We open the inventory, and there it was. Hey! With our newly acquired dragon egg, I raced straight back to base and placed this egg in our draconic egg incubator. And now we wait. Might as well be productive while we wait as well. Day 40, I went and checked on my egg, and it hadn't incubated that much at all. So I just stared into the clouds for a while. Needed time to kill. Or maybe I had to go poop IRL. I don't remember. There's still other things we can do until this egg would hatch. I went and checked our collector and saw that it had some stuff in it. Some vegetables from our garden and the rejuvenation crystals that come from the rejuvenation dragon. We then spent the rest of this day melting some ice wyverns with our fire wyvern. Day 41, I came to the realization that we're not going to be able to give ourselves an industrial forge. The only solution I have is, well, more forges. Right now, I don't actually know what I need a lot of metal for, but I'm sure I'll need it in the future, so it's good to have, I guess. Also, this egg incubator just isn't doing it for us. The egg is barely incubating. I was then told by my chat that apparently incubating it with some torches outside is much quicker. The egg incubator wasn't happy about that. I thought the egg disappeared through the floor, but no. The incubator stole it. So now this incubator needs to go. I then went ahead and placed down this egg, and seeing that this egg will hatch in just over 2 minutes, it's definitely a lot quicker to do it outside of the incubator. And just like that, this egg had hatched. There's a little kitty. I brought this little dragon outside because if it grew up inside, it'll probably break the place. I also decided to move the dragon altar. Why? I don't know, because I can, I guess. Day 42, I grabbed Grifficle and picked up Kumalala. Wait, will he just hit things? And went out and farmed some resources. Oh my god. Amazing. Yeah, I forgot this was a thing. Just carrying the Anki without a rider and we can smash the metal nodes. Quite an efficient way to be able to harvest metal. We spend a large chunk of this day doing exactly this. But now we're pretty stacked on metal and can fill up all of these forges. So damn stacked that I need to go and farm some wood just to be able to keep it burning. Also, quick check-in on our dung beetle, which we had to rename to Pooperman, and it had been getting to work making some juicy fertilizer. Day 43, I started checking out some more of these medieval smithy crafting thingies. We made this medieval anvil that makes shields. That's cool, I guess. And this medieval forge. I was kind of hoping this would be some sort of like medieval industrial forge, but no, it's just a normal forge. It's not that special. Finally, I made this grinding stone, which is exactly that. an industrial grinder. I had a whole bunch of these ascended items that I knew I wasn't going to use anyway, so I placed them all in here and grinded it up. And yeah, we got some amazing loot. Next, I took flight on this amazing royal owl griffin out into this amazing world, also that we could go and fly and check out this statue's nuts. Oh no. Oh no. I'm in his gooch. Purely accident. Pure accident. Not intentional. Next, we encountered a dragon I hadn't seen yet. Emberclaw, the Defender of Realms. That's a cool-ass dragon, but I need to get it down to 40% health to be able to get one. And I don't think Grifficle's got the facilities. Day 44, and spotting this Hydra dragon made me realize I want one. I just don't have the means to make the Azure Draconic Essence right now. So instead, we're going to settle for this Flameforged Dragon. I had already pre-made the essence for this, so yeah, this seems to work. Now, shooting it to knock it out, but staying out of its attacks is kind of hard. This thing absolutely wrecks us when it does hit us. I had pre-made some health potions, so this is kind of helping us out in this situation, and we're kind of just weathering the storm and shooting it. This strategy seemed to do the trick. We knocked this thing out in the water here. Now we just got to wait. I was kind of hoping it was an instant tame like the Rejuvenation Dragon. It wasn't. We waited patiently until this very moment. Now the slow and painful flight back to base. This chunky dragon takes quite a while to get back. Once we got back, it decided not to join us by our base. Where are you going? You stupid. This chunky Flameforged dragon was tamed, and I thought I could ride it. Turns out it needs a saddle. But first, we actually have to get this thing back to our base. Also, our dragon had grown up enough for us to be able to ride it. Even though it says juvenile, it's actually grown. This dragon comes in different levels, and you can increase that level from juvenile to adolescent to adult by doing a little something that we'll show you a little bit later. But right now, we got to put a saddle on this Flameforged dragon and put it to work. Now, I will admit, this Flameforged dragon saddle doesn't really suit our primitive playthrough, but there's not much I can do. It is what it is. I went to go see if this thing was very strong. Its bite attack is pretty mid, but it's this attack that does the damage. Oh my god, this Bronto is melted. Now we've seen the brute force of this Flameforged dragon. I was then sent back to base so we could name this dragon. My chat named it Athanasius. I'm sure there's a way to say it. It still confuses me now. But most importantly, we had to hit the skies and check this out. Oh, that's freaking wicked, bro. I'm in Game of Thrones, chat. This was easily one of the coolest dragons or any type of creature I've ever seen in this game. It just flies so amazing. But we're going to have to upgrade it and make it bigger, which we'll get to soon. But for now, I needed to name this one. Because of the way it looks, I went ahead and named it Fish Legs. Yeah, like the guy from How to Train a Dragon. Day 45, we took our boy Fish Legs out on a hunt for some crystal wyverns. We fought this single crystal wyvern, and I made the mistake of running out of stamina again, which also put me in a position to get absolutely wrecked by this crystal wyvern. I did manage to regain our stamina, and we got back into the fight, but the crystal wyvern kind of hurts Fish Legs. I mean, we did defeat it eventually, but we had to race back to base and heal up our Fish Legs, which you can do with the Rejuvenation Dragon. The Rejuvenation's green fire breath attack heals allied creatures, but then damages enemies, which then allows us to get back on the back of Fish Legs and back into the fight. This time we went to hunt down some ice wyverns. Day 46 and Katana is spitting on Fish Legs' face, rejuvenating. I then head on over to the Redwoods area to try and find some more crystal dragons, but there wasn't any there. So instead, we went over to the Wyvern Trench area and hunted down some wyverns here. I do know that I need to collect a bunch of their talons to either make an essence in this mod or even to be able to summon in some of the bosses later on. Day 47, I returned back to base and I realized I could turn some of these normal wyvern talons into draconic wyvern talons. Thing is, it costs 2 normal wyvern talons to make 1 draconic one. Kind of a ripoff if you ask me. Next, I had to make some more burnt charcoal. Such a weird thing. I thought charcoal was always already burnt. Then once again, Katara was breathing her rejuvenating breath on Fish Legs. I think Fish Legs is starting to really enjoy this. We're back out in the world exploring, and we ran into this ancient Zaldir dragon. It's not an amazing level, so I had no plans on trying to tame this or try and get an egg from it. Instead, I wanted to kill it and see if it dropped anything interesting. It was pretty easy to attack since its turning circle was so slow, and Fish Legs was quite nimble for a chunky little boy. But to answer the question, it doesn't drop anything decent or anything at all, just hide and meat. I then found myself burning this Anki alive, only to realize I just made an orphan out of this baby. My bad, I'll take care of it. Day 48 and I bit the bullet. I added the Dir Dino Finder mod. Because we need to hunt down a bunch of crystal wyverns and ice wyverns and certain creatures all the time, I needed to know exactly where they are on the map, only to find out that only 5 crystal wyverns are spawning on the map currently. I need 30 crystals to be able to create 1 single essence. I don't know how to solve this problem. Either way, I decided to go out and kill these guys and get all the crystals that I could. The Dino Finder definitely made it a lot easier to track some of these guys down. It didn't make them easier to fight though. They would absolutely kick my butt. It's okay though, because we always had Katara waiting for us back at base. I then flew down to the beach so I could go bonk some dodos in the head. Our single dodo back at base isn't producing enough eggs for us currently. And a lot of the essences I need to tame some of these dragons require a lot of eggs. So of course I need to speed up production just a little bit. Day 49, we spotted a bunch of ice wyverns on the map. This was more like it. The only thing is, I actually need more crystal wyvern crystals than I do need ice crystals. But it is what it is. Killing these ice wyverns would literally keep us busy for the entire day. But we would stock up on a whole bunch of ice wyvern crystals. Day 50, we went to go bully these rejuvenation dragons. This feels kind of mean because they would just run away. They wouldn't even engage in combat. But these dragons dropped dragon meat. Again, another resource I need to be able to make some stuff. Day 51, and we checked to see if we had enough resources to be able to make this. We don't have enough draconic steaks or bones right now. So we went back out to go hunt down some creatures that might give us exactly that. Then I remembered only one alpha Zadir dragon will spawn in on the map. And I need to go and kill it because it'll drop an item that I can feed to my Zadir dragon to upgrade it from juvenile to adolescent. And this Flameforged dragon does quite well against these Zadir dragons. So after a little bit of patience, we were able to defeat this dragon, which then gave us this black tooth. I then immediately raced back to base, positioned my little pink dragon in the right spot. Then I fed it this black tooth. Nothing crazy kind of happened, but it turned into the adolescent and now needs time to grow. Next, I had enough resources to make the Azure Draconic Essence, which means we now have the ability to tame ourselves a Hydro Dragon. Thanks to the Dino Finder, we were able to find a pretty high level one rather quickly. Now the tricky part of actually trying to knock it out. I shot it and figured I might try and trap it. Then I remembered that this trap was kind of close. I missed the first time and Grifficle was getting kind of wet. Wasn't too happy about it either. It's okay, we had a bunch of health potions so we could continue. We then tried this a second time round, but this time coming in from a little bit of a lower angle. Did we get it in? This worked perfectly. Well, so I thought. I did manage to try this one more time, this time trying to stay a little bit closer to keep the aggro. Maybe this way it won't turn around and try and escape, which it did pretty much straight away. Day 52, I tried setting up the stone gate trap, but rudely, this Hydro Dragon wouldn't allow me to finish it. And Grifficle doesn't really like getting wet, so we had to get out of there real quick. I then went and harvested a whole bunch of resources so that I could make a different type of trap. I did spot this rock formation near the beach here and tried to see if this would work as a kind of trap. I know what you guys are thinking. Obviously, it's not going to work. And it didn't. But I do need to try and get this Hydro Dragon away from me so that I can try and set up this other trap right here on this island. Everything seemed pretty safe now, so I started setting up this trap design. Unfortunately, the Hydro Dragon tracked us down and then murdered me. Some of the dragons in this mod have some crazy aggro ranges, meaning if you piss them off, they will travel across the entire map until you're dead. But because it had already killed us, the aggro had completely gone. So we could safely get our stuff back and continue working on this trap. This trap was a bit of a weird design. I'm kind of making it up as I go, knowing very well that the dragon's pathing is a little bit different to what we're probably used to. This was kind of what it looks like. It's super scuffed, but if this works, I'm a genius. I then got the attention of this Hydro Dragon once again and began to lead it towards this trap, only to realize once I get in, how do I get Grifficle out? And I think we can't get the Hydro Dragon to fly low enough to be able to actually get stuck in it. Look, my intentions were in the right place. After all, I'm not much of a builder. I mean, look at my base. I thought I was safe and sound back at my base. Maybe it had de-aggroed. I was wrong. But then outside, I realized the Hydro Dragon was stuck in a weird position that it couldn't actually hit us with its water attack. Of course, I took advantage of this little exploit and the fact that it won't run away and just kept shooting it. Eventually, it started to fly away. And I realized even with this amount of trank darts, it's probably not going to be enough. So I went back to make some more. Surprise, surprise, we ran out of narcotics. Quick run around on our Therizino and we gathered a whole bunch of narco berries that we could then turn into narcotics. As we were doing that though, our Hydro Dragon friend returned. And somehow I could still shoot him through this wall. Look, Ark tends to screw us around quite a bit. So exploiting it like this a little bit, hey, I'm going to do it. Also, because the thing kind of escaped, its torpor started dropping a little bit and it started running away again. So I had to grab some more of these tranks. Then we're back outside shooting it and it's kind of just stuck there and can't seem to hit us. This time we managed to deal a ton of torpor. But just as we we're getting close to knocking it out, we completely ran out of trank darts. Quickly ran back into the base to try and grab a couple that we had already made. Then we ran back outside to knock out this Hydro Dragon. Once asleep, we fed it the Azure Draconic Essence and successfully tamed the Hydro Dragon. I feel like we put a ton of work into taming this Hydro Dragon, so of course I jumped on its back to try and test this thing out. I gotta say, its model looks amazing. Is it strong? Does it handle well? No, not really. And I'm pretty sure it had a whole lot more health than it does now before we knocked it out. Day 55, we spent a large chunk of this day on our Hydro Dragon. Even though it's nothing special, it's still pretty cool to add to the collection. And apparently it has a special ability that we don't know of yet. What? This ability is super ridiculous, but also hilarious. Later on in the day, we jumped on the back of fish legs because it's just better all around. Also, it can harvest resources, especially metal. Even though I hated this dragon at the start because it just followed us around, was so pesky, it's grown to become one of my favorite dragons amongst our little collection we have here. And the fact that it can harvest almost any resource, metal, stone, wood, thatch, all of those things, it's obviously a must-have dragon. Day 56, I started cooking up a whole bunch of foundations, but then I started running out of resources again, even after our big resource run. Now you might be thinking, what are you up to, Aaron? Firstly, a lot of dinos have been spawning in our base kind of area here, so I figured if I place down these behemoth gates, it'll keep us kind of safe. I mean, this should block off some of the creatures, right? I then took down this trap. I kind of just wanted to neaten up my base area a little bit. You might be thinking, what did you make those foundations for? I don't know, but I'm gonna put them to use later. But right now, we have a dragon I want to try and tame. I want to get me an Emberclaw egg. Now, this isn't the highest level dragon, but not many of them spawn on the map. Plus, it says I've got to get it underneath 40% of its health for it to drop an egg. And I don't know, if this was a max level dragon, I think we would have got melted already. One thing that makes this dragon playthrough quite interesting is that every big battle is always in the skies. It really creates a unique challenge. Anyways, fish legs here was getting kind of melted as it was, so I had to return back to base and let Katara do her thing. I kind of imagined this is what it would be like if Sydney Sweeney was to breathe on me. Anyways, back into the fight against Emberclaw the dragon. Now, I'm not typically good at maths, but I'm pretty sure we're underneath 40% health. But for some reason, I couldn't see an egg drop. Technically, it should be right here, but it was nowhere to be found. After trying to look around for quite a while, we noticed there was no egg. Maybe it needs to be a little bit lower in health. There it is. This is not 40%. Their math is way off. I saw an egg. Where did it go? There it is. Egg now acquired. Now it's time to race back to base and incubate it, which I did straight away with the good old-fashioned standing torch method. Whilst waiting for this Emberclaw dragon to hatch, I thought it would be fitting to set up a little bit of decorations around our base, particularly this draconic throne. Yeah, now that we're collecting dragons, I'm pretty much the mother of dragons, or father, I don't know, does it matter? So I sit on my throne and bask in the ambience. I don't need pants. Hold on, I think I've got a pretty cool visual moment right now. Ah, yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, the lighting's a bit whack, but it's pretty cool. Anyways, in other news, our dragon had hatched. Well, actually, it was two of them. We had twins. Oh, twins. This is exciting in a game, but if this was IRL, twins would be hella scary. Anyways, back to pantsless posing. I don't know, I think this looks pretty cool. Day 59 and day 60, I spent the time just going out killing things. Mainly astral dinos that work just like alpha dinos. Why would I have to go and kill a bunch of these creatures? Well, why the hell not? Plus, also, I need a whole bunch of experience points because I want to try and increase my levels. Because I noticed when looking at the engram list that once you hit level 100, some new draconic items unlock. Day 61, I got a little bit distracted and decided to customize my base just a little bit. I even started placing down all these foundations that I had made earlier. Honestly, I'd like to think I knew exactly what I was doing right now, but I had no idea. I still continued this on day 62 because, well, I was just committed at this point, and I kind of stuffed up this build. This part doesn't connect very well, and obviously I had to turn it into the right cosmetics. What exactly is this thing that I built? I have no idea. Originally, I thought it was going to be like an amphitheater type thing, but I think it's just going to be a place that I'm going to put my dragons on display. Day 63, we pretty much just farmed a bunch of resources. We had been using quite a bit building this little base addition, and finished making the final touches to this little, I don't know what it is. Day 64, and our Emberclaw twins are fully grown up. Thing is, only one of them I could imprint because the other one required kibble or something. It just wasn't working out. Also, once they fully grew up, their health was kind of depleted. Thankfully, we've got Katara here to help out, and these Emberclaws could enjoy some good rejuvenation. Now to go test this Emberclaw out, specifically the one that we had 100% imprint on. Initially, it flies kind of slow. Well, that is until gravity kicks in. I did its fire breath attack, and it absolutely melted this Bronto. It's safe to say this Emberclaw is pretty damn strong. Might even replace our fish legs. Plus, the way it flies is pretty damn epic. I can't get over the visuals in this playthrough. They're just amazing. Day 65, we continued our fun just flying around on this Emberclaw, burning everything we saw. Once we had finished all our fun, we returned back to base. I wanted to test out a theory. You see, Katara here drops rejuvenation crystals every time she poops. I wanted to see if I fed her stimberries, would she pop out a whole bunch of rejuvenation crystals, similar to the Phiomia, and my theory was correct. Look at all of that rejuvenating poop. I then discovered that there was another alpha Zaldir dragon on the map, and I had to go out on fish legs and handle my business. My plan is to obviously get our Zaldir dragon all the way up until its adulthood. Alpha Zaldir dragon absolutely melted. Next, I wanted to test out a theory. Maybe if I level up our current Zaldir dragon as much as possible, once I feed it the black tooth and it grows a little bit older, it'll reset its experience so that it could get even stronger, if that makes sense. So of course we went out to go hunt down some astrals because they give us the most amount of XP so we can level this thing up. Day 66, and we're just finishing off this final little run of killing these astral creatures. I then returned back to base and fed this black tooth to our Zaldir dragon. Once I opened the inventory, I realized that leveling it up doesn't really matter. But hey, we've got an adolescent Alathalesius. Now we just gotta wait for him to grow up. Well, will you look at that? It's all grown up. It's a hell of a lot bigger than it was before, but I wonder how big it'll get when it's an adult. He's also a little bit stronger as well. So with this, I spent a bit of time hanging out and bonding with my Alathalesius. It always becomes quite fun when you become the dominant apex creature in this game. We have now been leveling up quite nicely, but we're not quite there yet. We're currently only level 91 and have a ways to go before we hit level 100. But whilst checking through these engrams, I saw that I could make these cool little swords. But in order to make them, I need black pearls, which I currently don't really have. Now, I don't need too many of them, so I could probably go hunt down some trilobites to get exactly what I need. I grabbed Grifficle, made sure I was wearing enough armor, and went straight into the ocean. Using a grapple hook kind of helps us get around the ocean a lot quicker. You just grip onto things and then pull yourself places faster. It's a lot faster than you can swim. My overconfidence got ahead of me a little bit though. We got munched on by these annoying fish. Thankfully, I had an ascendant pike, so I managed to kill this thing. Then I was able to kill my first trilobite, but it only gave me 2 black pearls. I was then reminded that the ocean can be quite brutal. Oh no. Go away, you stupid mantis. I thought this was going to be a simple run where we go and kill a bunch of trilobites and get the black pearls. Clearly wasn't that simple. Thankfully, I managed to go and get my stuff back and get straight back to farming these trilobites. This time, we didn't seem to get too bothered by a bunch of these aquatic creatures. We did get a couple close calls though, especially from these jellyfish. Get out. Day 68, and we have gathered enough black pearls that we could make one of these swords. I chose to make the Royal Fire Sword because fire is cool and dragons, it makes sense. Here it is in all its glory. Quite the long sword. I obviously had to make a shield as well. Just makes sense. Next, with our new magic sword and shield set, I went on out to go and conquer our first cave. This one behind the waterfall. The one that we came to with Veronica earlier. When I first dismounted and started charging in, I saw a whole bunch of insects come flying towards me. I got scared and grapple hooked away. I didn't get a chance to use my sword yet. Instead, I used normal bullets and my ascended long neck, which if we ever land a hit, absolutely wrecked things. So I got to test out this fire sword, and it hits pretty damn hard. Sometimes it'll set things alight, and these bugs did not like that. We managed to kill quite a few of them, but then all of a sudden this freaking sword broke. Why am I getting... Wait, the sword's broken already? Oh, god damn it. Luckily, I still had my ascendant long neck and this ascendant pike. I was just kind of missing pants, but that's okay, I think. I was determined to get through this cave. I need some artifacts if I want to fight the boss eventually. Grapple hooks and this ascendant long neck seemed to do the trick just fine. We were able to get our way through the cave kind of safely and even pick up some cave drops. I finally saw the artifact over by this Greek structure. Then I saw some weird creatures I'd never seen before. Cave minotaurs. This is a nice little addition to this map, but I'm pretty sure they just reskinned feroxes. And thanks to this little water ledge place, we could just kite them off the edge and they weren't really too much of a problem to us. And just like that, we were able to secure the artifact of the hunter. This cave's not very big, so getting out was quite easy. With that, I returned back to base with our new gear from all the drops that we'd gathered and our first artifact. Day 69, and I'm starting to realize that I really need to hit level 100 if I want to get the full experience out of this playthrough. There's a couple of engrams that are quite interesting by the looks of it. But first, I wanted to test something out. I wanted to know what happens when I crush this artifact in this dragon altar. It turns it into artifact dust, which once we collect 10 of them, will give us an artifact loot boss of either the island or scorched earth, whichever one you need. Next, I went ahead and made this skyward draconic essence. Yes, it's now time to go and tame another dragon. This is the smallest dragon you could possibly tame. It's called a worm. Problem is, it requires at least 2 draconic essences to be able to tame it. And I only had 1 of them, so I had to quickly return back to base, whip up another one, and head back on out to go and try and tame one. These little dragons are kind of ugly cute. You know, kind of reminds me of like a pug. Anyways, apparently they're a passive tame. It just was a little bit tricky to try and figure out how to actually do this. It probably helps if I have the draconic essence in the right slot. Yeah, mistakes were made, okay? I fed it once, and then I was pounced on by this Thylacoleo. Not the most pleasant experience, but I killed it. I then had to go and try and chase down this worm. Once you feed it once, it tends to fly away. It managed to get itself stuck in this tree rock thing, and just like that, I managed to tame it. Now, these worms you can pick up kind of like otters and, you know, shoulder pets. And not only do they look like cool wings on their back, they have a function as well. If you double jump and hold down spacebar, you can fly. Or if you're in the air and press C, you can glide. I already know this is going to be a lot of fun. Time to test this out. Come on, and let's go. Yeah, sick. Oh, we're gliding, chat. We're gliding. This is crazy. And the fun part is when we want to get back to base, we just glide on back and then turn into flying mode and we can just fly our way back up. Day 70 and I'm determined to hit level 100. And I know it's going to take us a while, but the quickest way I know I could do it was by killing these astral creatures, since these beasts give us the most experience points. Day 71 and we're still burning these astrals alive. I also learned that the Emberclaw dragon can continuously breathe its fire, which in turn absolutely melts our enemies. Next I saw this ringed blue drop with an ascendant crossbow in it. I had to go and get it. Except these Rhinioganathas spat some crazy stuff on me and changed my whole look. Oh, what's happening? Dude, bro, we got dismounted? Oh, that's right. These stupid sky lobsters spit some sap on you that stops you from being able to fly. This put us in a pretty sticky situation. No pun intended. Our Emberclaw was dying. I didn't know if we could escape this. All I knew I could do was just keep spitting this fire. And it worked. Of course, I had to yoink this ascendant crossbow. Then I flew all the way back to base and put Katana to work. Emberclaw almost died, so this is going to take quite a while to heal him all the way back up. Day 72, we're back out here hunting down astrals once again. We're really grinding to hit that level 100. When I can't fight astrals, I fight other strong creatures like these Uties. I just didn't realize that this Emberclaw is such a little bitch and got fear rolled from it. Day 73, yes, that blue glowing stuff is more astrals. Getting to level 100 in this near vanilla experience is a little bit harder than I thought it would be. It's been a while since I played completely vanilla, and my rates are still boosted, but we're almost there. Level 99, one more level, and then I believe we will unlock... Where is it? Come on, baby. There we go. Yeah, these look like the engrams that we need to unlock. Thank you, Katara, for all that you do. Low-key kind of wish that Katara was a bit quicker at this. It takes a long-ass time to heal Emberclaw up completely. I mean, I could use potions, but they're kind of expensive. Next, I thought I'd just take out my purple Zadir dragon. This could be a fun little thing, and I'm pretty sure it could take on these astrals anyway, so let's have some fun. We fight this astral raptor, and we managed to defeat it, but honestly, fighting with the Emberclaw dragon is way easier. But defeating that astral raptor got us over the line, and we are now level 100. At the time, I didn't actually know what we unlocked. This draconic essence, but this is what's most important, the draconic portal that will allow us to summon in draconic bosses. Day 75, I made this draconic portal. I realized this thing is freaking massive, so it's not going to fit at our base. Figured it might kind of suit this area, Mount Olympus. I placed it down, and then I took a look inside and saw that I need a few items to tribute so that I can summon in certain bosses. The Thunder Plague Pyro Wyvern, that seems pretty reasonable. I could get that done, but this Blaze Wyvern, I don't know. Moving forward, this is going to be our main goal. Defeat the bosses before day 100. There's a few other things I'd like to achieve, like tame a couple other dragons and stuff, but for the most part, I want to fight these bosses. So I guess we need to go out and start grinding so we can get all the tributes to be able to summon them in. Starting with Wyvern Talons. The problem that I'm having is there's not a lot of Wyverns that actually spawn in compared to how many Talons I really need. Like, this seems like a lot, but this is literally all of them. Thankfully, Fishlegs is an absolute beast and we demolished him quickly. And obviously, because I'm just a regular hero, I had to come and rescue these eggs. I mean, their parents are dead. It's like Batman all over again. Psych, their parents are very much alive. They're not very happy about it, but we just stole their kids. Don't worry, the kids will have a better life with us. No diddy. Day 76, and we're hatching our brand new wyvern eggs. I wanted to make this experience a little bit more cinematic. Wyverns are born. Let's go. Next, I actually had 50 of these draconic ashes. I wanted to see what I'd get in this chibi loot box. After some pretty cool animation, we got to see what we got. Yeah, give me my goodies, bro. Honestly, it was kind of disappointing to get one single one. I mean, it took us ages to get 50 draconic ashes. Mini poison wyverns, kind of cool, I guess. Maybe. But come on, nothing beats this guy, surely. Also, I need a name for this guy. Comment below a cool name for this guy. Next, I made one of these draconic wyvern arrows. Because that lightning wyvern that hatched earlier, I could shoot it and it would turn into a draconic lightning wyvern and fully grow up. It's amazing. It doesn't work on the poison wyvern that we had gotten. Of course, I had to name these wyverns. The lightning wyvern, we named Tayron. And this poison wyvern, we named Andreas. You might be thinking, where the hell did you get these names from? Well, basically some random dragon name generator thing online. Well, will you look at that? Another Alpha Zadir dragon spawned in on the map. By now, I'm pretty sure you guys know how this works. We kill this big dragon, we bring the black tooth back to our base, and feed it to our ananthrosis. Day 77, we're back over at the Redwoods area because I want to hunt down some more crystal wyverns. Again, I kind of just have to take advantage of them when they spawn in because there's not enough that spawn. And hopefully we can get enough crystals from them so that I can make an Inferno Essence chance and get an Inferno dragon. There are a few dragons that I know I won't be able to get, like the dragon that requires the mythical draconic essence, because you need 30 of these draconic primal crystals, and they spoil. We just can't gather enough of them to be able to make it. But there is one dragon that I haven't gotten yet that I should have gotten right at the start of this playthrough. The sand dragon. These things are pretty easy to tame. It's a passive tame. You just need its essence. You run straight up to it, shove the essence down its throat, and it's yours. Hey puppy, come back. Where you going? I don't know if it's a sand dragon, more like a dandruff dragon. Thing needs some head and shoulders, and maybe a way to speed up. This thing took ages to get back to base. But when we eventually got it back to base, that's where I named it. Decided to name him David, after one of my uncles that has terrible dandruff. Day 78, whilst we were out exploring, we encountered a world boss, the ancient draconic ancestor. It is about time that we do fight a boss tier dragon. And this ancient dragon is pretty damn tough. I mean, it has over 100,000 health, and these aerial fights can make things a little bit more interesting, especially when Emberclaw's stamina starts to deplete. But once we regain that stamina, we get straight back into the fight. I decided to keep this fight on the ground to try and keep our stamina reserves up. This strategy seemed to work quite well for us as well. Whoa, that was a very underwhelming death. In one of the drops while we're out exploring, we found this shotgun. And because it's a shotgun you can make in the smithy, I'm allowed to use it. Which I'm gonna need to use, especially with some of the caves that we've got to go explore later on. So with that, I started grinding up some more spark powder so we can turn it into gunpowder. We're gonna need a lot of bullets. Next, we went back to the wyvern trench because some of the wyverns should have respawned by now. We do this periodically just so we can kind of get our wyvern talons as we need them. And of course, I need to check if there's any eggs. Duh. Day 79, and we're staring at eggs. Because like, it's not really fun, but it's kind of cool when it hatches. This is a level 180 fire wyvern and just a vanilla one, which means I can shoot it and turn it into this. Easily one of our strongest wyverns yet. Day 80, I placed down a draconic portal right at my base. No, I'm not trying to summon in a boss right here. I just forget exactly what tributes I need. And this way I can check it a little easier. I'm running a little low on lightning wyvern talons. So I quickly heal up my fish legs and take him out on the hunt for some lightning wyvern talons. It's so much easier to find these lightning wyverns with the Dirt Dino Finder mod. Things like this just make our life a little bit easier, especially when you have to grind for multiple things. Next, we came back down to this waterfall hunter cave. Obviously, so I could snatch the hunter artifact once again. I think I'm going to need to get quite a few of them. And this particular cave is pretty easy. Not that I've tried the other ones just yet. Day 80, and we're crafting up a whole lot of shotgun shells because I want to head over to this next cave and get a different artifact. Now, I need a lot of shotgun shells because I can't take any tames in here. They're not going to fit. This cave is quite different to what we're used to. Something I've never experienced before. But this Ascendant shotgun definitely carries us through. Also, a nifty thing about this cave, to be able to get through it, you need to try and find these pedestals. I had to go watch a Razclark video to figure out how to do that. And it's this thing right here. You light that and it'll open this door. We then carefully make our way through this cave, even finding this area right here that holds a yellow Mastercraft cave drop. Now to continue making our way through this cave, collecting the drops that we find and lighting all the pedestals. Having the worm in here definitely helps us access some of these pedestals. It then leads us to this underwater area where we need to swim through it and fight these piranhas to be able to get to the artifact. I was worried we'd run out of oxygen, but there's a little bit of oxygen right here. And here we have it, the artifact. Yoink. Now it's time to get our butt out of here. I have a feeling we're going to be back quite soon. Day 82, I made this scope for my long neck. I also needed a new name for my new wyvern. We went with Reg Ho, which is short for regular hoe. Yeah. Anyways, we had to come and visit this waterfall cave once again. You guys already know how this goes. I mean, you would if the artifact had respawned, but it just hadn't. Instead, I got to test out my new scope on these minotaurs. We'll return back here once again once the artifact is respawned. But for now, I'm going to fly down to this obelisk right here. I think it might be a good idea to fight this Medusa. I just need to see what artifacts it needs. Looks like it only needs 3 separate artifacts, so I guess I'm gonna have to try and get this one. Hopefully it's respawned. And yes, it had. So we were able to snatch this up rather quickly, get out of there, and head over to the other cave, where hopefully this one had respawned. I mean, all the monsters are back, so you would think the artifact's in here, right? Maybe. I don't know. Especially since we have to open up all the doors again. Surely it's back. And the answer is yes. It had returned. Now, just like that, we had secured 2 out of the 3 artifacts we need to be able to summon in the Medusa boss. But I kind of wanted to grind them up in this instead. I'm way too curious to see what comes out of this artifact loot box. Are you kidding me? All of that for 1 artifact? Just so you guys understand the math, you need 10 of these items to make 1 artifact, which means you need to grind up 5 artifacts. And on this map, you don't really have a choice. You have to do it because you need the artifact of the Skylord to be able to summon in the boss. Slight side quest, but there's another Alpha Zaldir Dragon on the map, so I had to melt it and of course feed it to our Zaldir Dragon. This should now grow up into an adult Zaldir Dragon, its final form. Day 84, we return back to the waterfall cave. Because of the bosses that we want to summon in, we need to farm the artifacts. Except once again, the artifacts artifact wasn't here. And I accidentally fell into the water and got murked by these sarcos. I didn't die because I am him, but our worm kind of got a little bit beaten up and some of our armor broke. Day 85, I flew over to this particular cave. Another one behind a waterfall. This one's harmless. There's nothing crazy that would kill you in here. But there is something that I wanted to come and discover. These clams along the sides here, they're all silica pearls. I was kind of hoping to find some black pearls, but there didn't seem to be any. Instead, we had to go straight back to the ocean to find some trilobites and farm them for their minimal amount of black pearls. But I kind of ran out of stamina mid-ocean and was drowning. Trying to use my crossbow to get out of here really quickly felt like a really good strategy at the time, and it probably could have been. I just didn't make it. Now we're on a mission just to retrieve our stuff and our worm, which we got easily so we could go back to farming these trilobites. We gathered all the black pearls we needed, so it's time to head back to base. Now, what exactly did I need all these black pearls for? Well, it was so that I could make this, the Sea Breeze Draconic Essence. I did need some silica pearls, so I am glad that we got that. Weirdly enough, I needed some water tanks as well. Then I could finally make this essence, and this essence is what we need to be able to tame this dragon, the tidal dragon. Now, not many of these spawn on the map, so it's extremely lucky that we got one at this level. Knocking this thing out was kind of interesting. It was slow and aggressive, but it just was kind of weird. Once we finally knocked it out, it fell into the water, where I fed it the magical essence, but I was kind of worried that these fish would ruin our taming progress. Thankfully, it tamed up pretty quickly, and we were able to get out of there just in time before I died. Day 86, and I got to put this tidal dragon to work. You are ugly. I mean, it definitely did get struck with the ugly stick, but I desperately need it if I want to try and get through to the last cave. I then made this dino level potion out of this alchemy bench. Then, of course, I had to name this tidal dragon. I think Moisty is quite suitable. I then fed it the level potion, which gave it 88 levels, pumped a little bit into its movement speed, but mostly into its health. I then made some Lazarus chowder because the cave that we want to go into is completely underwater, and I can't make a scuba tank because I'm not allowed to use a fabricator. This is going to be my only chance to be able to try and get through this cave. So one of the abilities with these tidal dragons is they can fly, but they can also travel underwater a lot faster. Now we're talking. Now, another thing that they can do that I didn't know about until this very second. Wait, what? I don't have to worry about oxygen? This dragon gives you the ability to not need oxygen. And with that, we make our way through this cave, trying to find the artifact. I get into some fights with some of the creatures down here, and it gets a little bit hairy at times. Like, my dragon's pretty strong, but when you can't see what's happening at times, it gets a little sketchy. So sometimes you just have to run away. We did find a cave area that has some air in it, but unfortunately, because I can fly on the back of this thing, it kind of wigs out and kicks me off at times. Managed to secure this red drop that had some really good ascendant legging blueprints. Now to actually try and find this artifact whilst trying to get past these enemies. We found this pinkish purple lair area, and I figured this would be where the artifact was. I could hear it, but I couldn't see it at first. Once I actually dismounted, I could see it and secure the next artifact. Now we got to try and get out of this cave. And one thing that always happens to me in these underwater foggy caves is I get lost. We got stuck down here for quite a while. I'm just glad that we don't have to worry about oxygen. We finally made it out of there, and I'm kind of glad too, because I don't really want to go back there. Of course, as soon as I got back, I made these new ascendant leggings. Day 87, once again, back in this cave, doing what we can to collect these artifacts and annoying these minotaurs. I was looking through the draconic shrine and I saw this item. The frozen spear. This thing intrigued me just a little bit, but it needs a whole lot of these eternal ices, which pretty much means I need to go farm a whole lot of these ice wyverns. Thankfully, there is a lot of these on the map, so we're able to do it. We just spend a long time doing this. So damn long that it even bleeds over to the following day. Not only do we need to collect 20 of these, but these guys are also kind of tough to kill. Day 89, and we're returning back to base. Not because I've collected all the eternal ice, but because of my ADHD, I got kind of bored. I want to do something else. So we're gonna go and do basically the same damn thing, except this time with crystal wyverns. Sometimes I get very bored of these monotonous grinding in these games, but it is essential to get through it, I guess. Day 90 and we're still hunting down these crystal wyverns. It's a grind, but even when we get bored of that, we return back on the hunt for these ice wyverns. 20 of these crystals doesn't sound like a lot, but it kind of is. Again, if this was a land-based fight, it would be a lot quicker and easier, but because all of these fights are in the air, it takes us a little longer to try and kill these guys. Day 91 and we're returning back to our base because now we have all the required ingredients to make this frozen spear. Now apparently this thing only works on tamed wyverns. I tried stabbing it, but it did nothing. Apparently you have to throw it at its face. So I took my aim with this spear, threw it, and it killed my wyvern. Then a new one appeared. Oh, that's freaking sick. We got a zombie wyvern. Of course, I had to name it. We called it Regho, the Resurrected. And it's basically just a normal wyvern, except it flies in multiple directions. And it can glide. Its flames are also blue, which is a pretty cool touch if you ask me. This thing is definitely pretty damn cool. And quite the killer. It can also continuously breathe its fire, which makes it pretty damn deadly. Next, our Anastasius was fully grown up. This thing is massive compared to what it was when we first got it, and we got to enjoy this pink beast with all of its glory. Well, only for a short moment. I had to come back down to this cave again. You guys know how this goes. We got another artifact, and that's all that matters. Day 92, and it's time to fight Medusa. I brought one of my ember claws down and my lightning wyvern. I didn't want to bring all of my creatures because I want to save them to fight the dragon boss. I then placed in all of the artifacts to summon in the Medusa boss. Oh, shit. You guys ready? Let's go Ember Claw Tayron. I then teleported in, but I was all alone. They didn't come. My worm come? Oh, my worm came. All right, we could fly at least. With this, all I had was my Ascendant gear and my worm. Can we defeat the Gamma Medusa just like this? I guess we'll soon find out. 300k? Oh, we're gonna be here a minute. Oh, especially with my aim. Once I realized I was doing very little damage to Medusa and she wouldn't really allow me to fly, I knew this was going to be a bit tricky. I thought maybe I could fly as high as possible and keep shooting down, but as soon as I saw bats and stuff flying towards me, I knew this was going to be near impossible. And this bat being level 500, I was starting to lose hope. But was I going to give up completely? Hell no. I want to try and defeat her or try and do some sort of damage. We're going to lose all of our crap. Is that what happens? Shoot. Pretty sure you lose all of the gear too. Oh no, we have really good gear. All of our Ascendant stuff's gonna go. Yep. Oh my god. That fight was over the moment I couldn't get any one of my wyverns in. And what hurts the most is we lost some pretty good gear and our worm. The only bit of Ascendant gear I could get back were these pants because we had a blueprint for it. Mistakes were definitely made, but oh well, on to the next one. Now we need to fight the dragon boss. But before we fight the boss, there's a few things I need to do. Like I want to get myself another worm, which is easier said than done. This particular one was just stuck in a weird spot and we couldn't feed it. It would occasionally move around a little bit, but again, we just couldn't feed it. It wouldn't eat. Eventually, I gave up on this mission and continued doing what I was doing, which was heading back to this cave so I could come and get one of the artifacts, but also to try and see if we can get anything decent out of the cave drops. We visited this place so many times now that getting rid of these minotaurs is kind of easy. It's been fun, but this will be our last time picking up this artifact. Next, I went drop hunting. I need to try and get some better armor or maybe some saddles. I'd be grateful to get anything really good, like some Ascendant flak gear or something. Most of the red drops, I can't use anything in them because they're all not primitive. We do manage to pick up a few little decent items, I guess, and then I'll just craft whatever else I could from the blueprints that we have. Day 94, I spent most of the day just setting up these dragons, making sure that they're fully leveled up, prepared for this fight. I had decided that I'm going to summon in the boss right here. I realized it'll be a logistical nightmare to try and get all of these wyverns somewhere else. I then gathered up all of our tributes, placed them in the draconic portal, and summoned in the Thunder Plague Pyro Wyvern. I decided that I was going to ride AronAztek. Then the wyvern boss summoned in. I sent in all of the creatures to attack. There were just wings flapping everywhere. Some of my dragons were falling from the sky. It was brutal. My health was depleting because I was getting damaged off the back of my dragon. All of my dragons were dropping like flies. Emberclaw was still in there, my strongest dragon yet. But then I was taken out. I managed to respawn and try and get back into this fight. There was electricity and flames absolutely everywhere. I ran outside to try and mount the closest dragon, but I died again. Now my beds were on a cooldown. I had no other choice but to spawn back at my boat. Tried to use this to sail back to base, but when I realized this was futile, I said my prayers and said goodbye for the night. I could now spawn back at base where this dragon was talking some mad crap. I managed to get on the back of Katara and escape, but the Plague Pyro Wyvern chased us down and deleted my Katara. No, we're gonna die again. Had to wait in a waiting screen, and then we got to respawn on day 95, only to get deleted immediately. We were defeated, but if you see here, our AronAztek was with us to the bitter end. That is pure love. Our creatures fought the great fight, but they died with honor. Thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Massive shout out to all of my Twitch subscribers, YouTube members, and Patreon members. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. Now we must sail off into the sunset onto our next adventure. Where might you find us? You'll soon find out. Maybe watch this next video. You probably like this one. YouTube says you'll like it. Yeah, click right there. Click the next video. Go on, go ahead.